these are the props used on the first day of creating Mortal Kombat. Concept, the original concept, all the way to MK1, not the Warner Brother original concept, but the original concept.
Yeah, from Midway,
Yeah.
MK,
Yeah.
the original Mortal Kombat, all the way to NetherRealm Studios Mortal Kombat 1. So
Yeah.
I worked on every single.
Yeah, he's the only person to ever work on from the concept to the present game.
You guys have kicked my ass so many times, like accumulatively. It's wild. So how did you get started? How did this whole thing come about?
My brother started drawing at an early age, like 4 years old. So later on in high school, he had a friend called John Tobias, who he used to draw with. Because, you know, you get together and you draw with stuff, and we would go see movies together. I remember one time we all jumped in my car to go see Ralph Bakashi's Lord of the Ring. I think Tony was there too. We fit like 18 people in my car. As you might know or might not know, later on we did stunts for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You know, VO, whatever,
Finisher.
small lines, or even like, you know, just gibberish. You know, when you're playing a certain character like Baracho, he was like this drunk Chinese guy, you know, and it's, you know, we would always talk like this, you know, and just,
That's awesome.
You know how.
Yeah. That is really cool. Now you said you did stunt work. Besides like Ninja Turtles and stuff like that, anything else that we'd sort of recognize? That's really cool.
Actually, some independent films. I actually got to play Shang Tsung in a fan movie where I had to like take falls on cement and stuff like that. It was kind of fun, very fun. Exactly like Mortal Kombat.
That is really, really cool, you guys. Well, let's come out into the crowd, because I imagine there's you guys gonna have some questions. Anybody got a question here?
Don't be shy.
I'm doing my best, Phil Donahue.
For Daniel, how did you wind up playing all those parts in the first one, both Scorpion and Johnny Cage? And did they just have like, hey, here's a different shirt, you're gonna be Sub-Zero now, or what was that like?
Originally, there was only going to be Scorpion, the Lin Kuei. So we were going to have actually Tony Marquez Kung Lao do that character. And the day before we were going to shoot, Tony broke his toe. And all the moves have to be done slow, just to capture the move, not only to capture the movement cleanly, but the game was so low budget that Ed wouldn't let us use the company camera. We had to use John Tobias' father's camera. Because, the expectation was the game from the management was so low that we were really nothing. So Ed was like, you're not going to use the good stuff because this game is not going to be anything. So, it took us so long to, you know, the game, nothing like this has ever happened, so we really didn't have like any direction. Like the first day of filming, it was John put me in front of the camera and said do something cool. So we did a bunch of cool stuff filming for 3 days, and then he shows up and he has a shot sheet, high, medium, low, and then we started organizing the game. So the character later on known as Johnny Cage took like 6 or 7 weeks to get firmed out. That was the first character. So we were way behind in production. They were only going to give us 8 months production. You know, we filmed what was known as Johnny Cage. Raiden already had the name. Then came Kano. Then came Raiden. Then came a little bit of Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So we were running out of time, and John, he broke his toe, and John is like, you have to jump in and do all this because you're the only one who knows all the moves and how to do this. We got to get back on schedule. We're going to get in trouble. So the end of that was I did Scorpion and Sub-Zero, but when we bought the costume for Scorpion Sub-Zero, we bought it for Tony. And Tony's a lot thinner than me. Two, when John and I bought the costume, we didn't want to spend any money because it was like his own money going into the game. They didn't really want to.
Didn't have a budget.
Yeah, we didn't have a budget. So when we went to the costume shop to buy the ninja outfit for Tony, it was cheaper to buy a double X large than a adult medium. So when we looked at it, we're like, Tony's gonna fit this fruit, and we're just laughing because we don't have to deal with that
A
stuff.
child's double X large.
Yeah, not an adult, a child's double X large. So we're just like, yeah, Tony, we're gonna just let Tony deal with this. Little did we know that the costume didn't fit me. So with the first kick, it tore. And naturally, we're in a studio with all guys, mostly guys. So there's not a safety pin. We pinned it together with straight pins, and wherever it would rip, we would use straight pins. So constantly during the creation of Scorpion Sub-Zero, I was constantly getting poked. You know, it was justice, right, Tom?
It's a labor of love.
That is awesome.
Coach martial arts in Chicago?
Yeah, I teach. Tony and I teach martial arts in Chicago.
So you seem very nice now, but I've heard reports of you having very brutal and punishing martial arts training that some of us may be sort of still shell-shocked by. Friday nights, some of the night classes in Chicago.
You know, hey, we don't talk what happens in Chicago stays in Chicago. Do you understand that?
Some of us are still trying to adjust.
I'd like to introduce, someone who trained with us. We know him as Smooth.
Yeah,
I don't even know they know my real name.
we still call them Smooth.
Yep.
That's all they remember.
Dude.
But yeah, these guys are amazing coaches. They're also the reason that I don't know how to play video games. Because I was like, why should I go and play Mortal Kombat at the Paul Punch Group when I can walk two blocks over and learn from the real guys? So thank you.
You got
So-
moved.
No, we appreciate you. Okay, I'm not,
It's one of those games that I feel like you're either good at or you just get. I am not good at it. I'm horrible.
The Ho-Sung Pak is really good at Liu Kang. You have to be really good to beat
good.
him with any other character, even Liu Kang. Otherwise, he'll beat you.
There's always that player that you're like, all right, I'll play you, but you can't be this character. You got to be somebody else. Here we got a question right here.
Yeah, in Mortal Kombat 2, the old one, 2, which of you played Shang Tsung? The guy that could turn into anybody?
That would be Dr. Philip Ahn. He's not here. But the original Shang Tsung is a guy known as Eric Kincaid. So he is the original Shang Tsung. And then the second Shang Tsung is Ho-Sung Pak. And then the third Shang Tsung is Philip Ahn. And the fourth Shang Tsung is Kerry Tagawa. So
Yeah, really
there's
good.
a lot of Shang Tsungs.
Was there any sort of
On concrete. There was no pads. And then finally, I told John, because it was just John and I creating the game up to that point. There was nothing for the programmer to program, so I didn't meet Ed Boon until much later to work on the game. So I was just like John, other guys are going to come in. You're not paying them, and they're not going to be like me and just fall on the concrete. You got to get some pads. We got to get some equipment for these guys, because otherwise, nobody's going to want to do the game, So he was just like, yeah, so we got a pad. We got a couple pads for the guys, but just always, trying to figure out, we get a problem and there's no technology to support it. You can't really fix it in post-op, you have to get it right away. So, you know, from Raiden breaking the hat to trying to figure out how to get Kung Lao to spin around a lot of times because we wanted to actually look more real than just later on just kind of cookie cutter it. We wanted everything to have an individual flavor to it. So there was a lot of problems.
I think every project has their you know, we're hired to be problem solvers, all of us, you know, whether it's acting, VO and whatnot. I think every project will have an issue, but we overcome it, and the entire project's fun to work on. But you always have a struggle, and you're gonna get over it. But you know, in the beginning, I think for Mythologies, when we were, you know, Sub-Zero Mythologies, we were filming, and I thought I was actually gonna have a heart attack because, you know, you're trying to finish the game and then do the story mode part, but you have all this, you're a smaller team, and you have all this this pressure to make sure you make the fans happy, you know, and then, but it's a labor of love, and then eventually when you look at the entire overall project, you're like, oh, this is great, you know, and then you tend to forget all the bad things that you had to deal with.
Yeah.
And when I mean bad, it's just like, oh, I gotta solve this problem. Not bad, like, you know, keep working for free. You know, it's not that. It's just like in your head, you're like, oh, how do I do this? You know?
I think that's part of like the genius behind it is trying to make something unique, you know, and coming out with some way to create it, you know, having a problem and then figuring out a way to solve it. And you know, in Mortal Kombat 1, John was really good about listening to ideas and making sure that, oh, we're gonna do what's best for Mortal Kombat and the way it turns out, as opposed to, oh, this is, you know, somebody in there, it has to be done this way. There wasn't any of that. There was like, what is the best way?
Freedom of creativity,
Yeah.
more or less.
How has the process changed from one game? Like, is it drastic, or is it still kind of the same from your guys' perspective? How things have sort of progressed over the course of the games?
So the first three were all chroma keyed, and then MK4, which I was like slightly involved in, went into the 3D motion capture era. So I think it was John Vogel and Steve Baran handled all of that. But when I was bought into MK5 Deadly Alliance, I actually streamlined and created their pipeline from start to finish, and we used motion capture. So I had to learn before that, when we were on Mythologies, I had to learn motion capture, and there wasn't any schooling. So you had to, you know, you were given a manual, and here you got to calibrate the studio, you know, and you had to be a tech lead as well to understand, like, why is this camera not working? Why am I not seeing, you know, the numbers correctly? So since I knew animating, I knew motion capture, I streamlined that pipeline, animation pipeline, and that's still used today, and that's close to 25 years later. So I kind of forecasted, and I'm not saying, you know, there's obviously subtle changes when you go into a different software package like Maya, you know, whether you use Motion Builder or Maya, you know, they're transposing, they're almost the same thing. You just got to know where the buttons are at. But from start to finish, they're still using what I actually implemented, you know, with the help of everybody else there, you know, in the studio. So
Anybody else?
Nice. Hello. So my question is, you guys play some of the most iconic characters in video game history. Do you guys still own any of the props used for your characters when you first worked on Mortal Kombat 1 and 2?
I have zero. Nothing.
I had this original Scorpion mask, which was a sash from Kung Fu. So some museum, Mortal Kombat movie museum has that. And then my brother and I had my black sash that from doing Kung Fu,
Yeah.
we used for Sonya and Raiden, and we gave that to our friend.
MK Jasper.
Yeah, MK Jasper. So he, as a present, because he'll display it and take pride in it while it was laying in the bottom of a cart in my closet. But I have the original Johnny Cage sash, the original Johnny Cage shoes, still that from the first day of ever creating the game. So they are like, even though everybody has their first and favorite characters and anything like that, these are the props used on the first day of creating Mortal Kombat.
I think Ho Sung still has some of his stuff.
Yeah, Rich has a couple things, the knives
Rich
still.
does.
Rich has the knives, Ho Sung has the pants, Philip on, Shang Tsung has the pants and beanie, Catelyn, Zamir has, because naturally we own all this stuff. It wasn't like the company bought it for us. So she has the original size and fans that she competed with that she put in the game. So a lot of people have some of the original things.
And Tony?
Yes. So I had the original costumes for MK2 and MK3, and those deteriorated over time. And I moved a couple of times, and so I lost those. And then, but the original hat, I do not know where the original hat is.
As long as you don't look at his wall.
As long as you're not in his house.
You don't know where the hat
Looking at
is.
what is that hat on that wall?
So you might have it. You might have the hat, but officially he doesn't have the hat.
It's such a. I'll just be loud. I was just gonna say there's so many, especially the looks of the characters and those things. The fact that you guys sort of at the beginning of all of that took on such a, everybody knows it is really a great story.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks.
How long did it take to do the fight choreography to sort of create those things?
In the first Mortal Kombat game, there would be over 1,500 video hours to create the game. I think that's for Mortal Kombat 1. Compared to, I think in Mortal Kombat 3, they did 30 hours of video work. So the first game had freaking, 500 times more video hours. It was like I said, it was a labor of love. There was a lot of creation. But two, a lot of the concepts that we came in, like in the first game, when we were pitching the game to Ed Boon, we wanted x-rays. We wanted 3 fatalities. We wanted tag teams. Like during the first game, there's a lot, we wanted a brutality. Johnny Cage's first fatality was a brutality, and that was an MK1. So a lot of ideas that came up later originated in the first Mortal Kombat.
And
there's got to be some way to finish him. We need to think of some finishing moves, and then that's where the phrase "finish him" came up. But then I was like, yeah, it'd be cool. Like Kung Fu movie has a death blow. We got to give him a death blow. And then John is like, we should give him 3 death blows. So John and I started filming. He's like, what do you want for a death blow? And then I was like, I want to jump up in the air, punch the guy in the skull, pull it out of his skull. He turns towards the camera and he's got a hole in his head. So we filmed that first. Then John was like, what's the next one? And I was like, after I hit him, he drops to his knees and I just pummel him brutally to death. And so we filmed that, and that was the first brutality in MK1. And then John was like, MK1 was MK12, but sir, you know what I mean. So then John was like, what would be the third one? An easy one. And then I was like, there was a guy called Matsuyama who used to punch bulls and kill them. So I'm gonna punch guys in the head and it's gonna fly off. And John, we filmed that, and that became Johnny Cage's brutality.
Any other questions for the crowd?
A stable landmark for 30 plus years. And, and we were hoping people would love it, and you guys actually accepted it into the culture, and it's lasted so long that we're very thankful of you for supporting us and for putting us in this position where we're at, and it's a blessing, you know. So it's one of those things that it's lasted, and we're just amazed at how receptive everybody is, how loving the family, that Mortal Kombat family has been to us, and we really appreciate it.
So, for me, anyone who acts like me doesn't suck. So all the new Sub-Zeros and all the new Scorpions and all the new Johnny Cages and all new Reptiles, it's really cool to get in to collaborate on the concepts that I created, that I came up with. You know, so it's always cool to see somebody put a new twist on it, whether it's, you know, $500 sunglasses or something else. It's cool to see that stuff, you know.
What you got? Yeah, you can. Come on up.
What's up, guys? So I have a question for all three of you, Carlos, Daniel, Tony. Who is your favorite character to play as, and who is the worst character to play against?
Actually, my favorite character in MK is Raiden. I wanted to be Raiden. I wanted to be that character really bad.
Yeah, we all wanted to be James Pax, right?
Yeah. It's cool, shoot lightning. Who doesn't want to do that? I mean, even Christopher Lambert wants to be my brother. Yeah, so I really wanted to be Raiden. And then John says, no, you're going to be Stryker. And I was like, oh, crap, I don't want to be Stryker. So then he's like, do you want to be Stryker? Or originally the concept of Johnny Cage is really based off of Iron Fist, of Daniel Rad. So everybody, the company's version of Johnny Cage is Jean-Claude Van Damme. But when we were creating the game, no one ever mentioned Jean-Claude Van Damme. But we did mention Daniel Rad from Iron Fist. So John was like, you could be the Iron Fist character. And I was like, yes. Because I collect comic books, and I had and the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu and stuff like that. So I really wanted to be Raiden or that character, the Daniel Rad Iron Fist character. So I got my wish. But the worst character to play, when I was playing the game, was Goro, because I wasn't really good at the game, and Goro they would be like, okay, try to fight Goro, and man, he just kicked the shit out of me. No matter what character I played, it was just terrible. Sorry for swearing.
My favorite character in the whole Mortal Kombat franchise, I believe, is Kung Lao. Kung Lao is the greatest character.
Is he better than Liu Kang?
But in terms of playing against, my favorite character is actually Kano. I love Kano just because he really represents our friend Rich DeVizio. He is very much, okay, he might be a very evil person or whatever, or a bad guy, but you realize that he's not such a bad guy. And he's just a normal guy with a great skill set who at the end of the day is just looking for a paycheck. And this is very much Rich DeVizio. He's just your average working guy who has a great skill set, who's looking for a paycheck. And so that's my favorite.
It's true.
Yeah. So that's my favorite adversary because I love him. And I also love Baraka. Baraka because he's almost like Worf. He's that tough warrior that you kind of gauge everybody else off of. And so there's like the Worf effect. Okay, Worf is really tough, but no, you need to introduce somebody tougher. He's gonna beat up on Worf. That's the same way I look at Baraka. Baraka, he doesn't really have a dog in the fight, really. He's just a tough warrior. But if you're looking to prove something, yeah, you can go beat up on Baraka.
Myself personally, I like, because I was Raiden, so it's got to be Raiden. Who doesn't want to be that, lightning? Yeah, lightning or cloud from Big Trouble in Little China. Have the, your culturally atypical, Asian hat, looking cool. You got the, the cloth and everything, and then you have lightning shooting out of your hands like the Emperor from Star Wars. So, and as for the worst character, I don't have one that I like all the characters because I was in development, so I had to test every character. So I know their weaknesses and strengths, so I like all of them. But even motion capturing all of them, there wasn't one that was not as a challenge where like this sucks. I mean, who doesn't want to be Alien or Freddy or you know what I mean? You're just like, oh my God, this is all the stuff I love. I want to be my brother. I want to be Tony. I want to be rich. And try to do them justice because you look up to your friends. You love everything that they do. It's just like at the acting community. We love all of these people because they all created something and all defined a character, and you just love that.
Yeah, when we were creating the game, because it was a new game, there was really no direction. There was a lot of freedom to express yourself. So it was always easier for us to borrow something of our personality for the characters. So if you ever get a chance to meet Liz Malecki, the original Sonya, and you get to talk to her, you're gonna be like, this is really Sonya. That strong woman, independent, able to beat up men, but common sense. When you meet them, or you meet Liu Kang, Ho Sung Pak, or Rich the Vizio, Kano,
John Parrish.
Yeah, when you meet them, you're like, holy cow! A lot of people get surprised, like, oh, that guy. For me, oh, that guy. I like the way that guy acts like Johnny Cage, like all the time. Well, that's because that is me. I'm not acting like anything. Or I'm not acting like Sub-Zero or Scorpion. Those are parts of my personality that I gave the characters because it was easier to do that than stand around for a couple hours and try to figure out what you want to do. We didn't have the time to do that. We only had 8 months to do the project. It wasn't
like
that.
a method act.
Yeah, so it was just, and then John was cool. John was always like, just whatever's the best, whatever is the best for the project, we're going to do. He was a great leader.
Great experience.
Game that was basically following Ed around from office to office, and this sort of is like a day in life of making the game, right? So I just want you to know that had a major influence on me, just as a person, as a kid, just growing up, my career path. So I got my thank you so much, Carlos. I appreciate all you guys, though. Love the games, love you guys. Thank you so much.
And once again, just to, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
this is why we do it, because you guys put us here.
Yeah.
It's the love and the support. And I know you're saying that I influenced you, but I'm just a guy on the video, and you saw it, and your parents, they molded you, and you molded me. Yeah, and I really, seriously, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you can inspire somebody, but in the end, you have to do all the work. So you guys deserve a lot of credit. Sure, that's the hard part. Everybody has ideas. Taking idea and bringing it into fruition is difficult. Yeah, but so thank you.
But thank you again.
So what advice would you give to the new generation of youth that are interested in participating as their profession in the gaming industry and creating these type of cool games for families and youth to participate in?
This is just my opinion. Persistence. You have to be persistent because everyone is going to, whether you do something, work or create something, somebody's gonna say no, and your ego's going to be hurt. But what you have to do is put that aside and keep moving forward so you execute what you want to be or what you're trying to accomplish. And down the road, and everybody here has had that done to them where somebody said no, and there's one particular thing that you've all focused on and said, no, I'm going to do this, right? So take that fire and take that initiative, and what you ultimately want to do is that most difficult task that you ever had, look back and go, examine it and go, why was I upset? Why did I do this? Why wasn't this accepted? And now I'm successful. And remember that for the next time, because then somebody's going to tell you no, and remember, you know what? I accomplished this other thing. I think I could do this, or I know I can do this, and keep moving forward to get it done no matter what, because you've all accomplished something successful in your life. And the world is gonna beat you down and say you haven't done anything and you're nobody. But what you can do is go, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this, and you gotta keep on going, no matter what.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming to the Mortal Kombat. Give these guys a big round of applause. And they got some cool stuff over in the booth, so go by and check them out and say hello and all of that good stuff.
Thanks,
got some
Danny.
really cool stuff. Thank you guys. Thank you guys.
You almost had two phones.
We'll see you guys again.